Hey guys, Games with Chin here, and we're doing the updated accessibility review for Remnant from the Ashes. Now, I did an accessibility review shortly after the game was released, and I played it last night for a while, and as far as accessibility goes, I don't really think they added anything new. I think it's literally the same game that it was when I did the last accessibility review. But I'll go ahead and do this updated one anyway, with some things that I think could really improve the quality of life. Okay, so this is a very tough game. It's very reminiscent of like Dark Souls. So you know that you can't really take a beating. But I will say this though. They did seem to make it less punishing than it was when I initially reviewed it. But again, if they could make a way where you could hip fire, because right now you have to hold down the left trigger to aim, and then you have to use the analog stick to move the reticle, and then you have to use the right trigger to shoot. That is quite difficult. Very difficult. Thankfully, the Xbox will allow you to customize the Elite 2 so you can have what's legacy sticks. It's where your move stick up moves forward, down moves backwards, left turns the character, right turns the character. Then on your camera stick, up looks up or down depending if you have vertical inverted. Down looks up or down again, but left and right strafes, makes the character walk sideways in the respective direction. So I think if they could add a hip fire feature, it could really be like night and day for people that don't really have the ability to hold down a button, aim, shoot, and in a boss battle, you're having to dodge a lot. So you're trying to aim, shoot, roll out of the way by pressing A, and it's quite difficult. Another feature I really wish they had was a lock-on feature, where you could just, boom, press the button, you're locked on, because the way boss battles work, a lot of bosses are really big and menacing and have a wide range on their attack, and they can hit you repeatedly, so you're constantly having to roll, and the maps are usually small enough that you're going to roll into a wall, or you're going to roll into something, and then you're going to be stuck and you're going to get hit. And so, since I have to have legacy sticks on, because there's no lock-on feature, I can't make my character strafe sideways and roll sideways to get out of the way and get out of the corner. And so I took a lot of hits last night that could have been avoided if there would have been a lock-on feature. And I feel since it's a PvE game, having these features like a lock-on feature and a hip fire wouldn't hurt anybody, because it's not PvP. It's just you versus the enemy, or you and your buddies versus the enemy. And I also feel if they would add the ability to remap the buttons, that could be like really huge as well. That would go a long ways if you could just, boom, remap the buttons. Or a big one, toggle aim. Currently, like I said, you got to hold down the button, and it's just challenging, which I love a good challenging game, but not when it's the controls, the accessibility challenging me, but when it's the game challenging me. I like a challenging game when it's just the difficulty, not the accessibility. And I hope in the future that some of these things will be taken into consideration and maybe even added, because I think for the disabled community with range of motion issues, I think it would go a long ways to making sure that more people could play your game. And not just play it, but play it well. You know, because you can't jump into a random lobby, and if you have problems and are dying more often than other players, you know, you're going to hinder your team pretty bad. But I know you could play solo, but there's times that you want to play with people. You know, you don't want to play offline and solo. And so these accessibility options and features would just, it'd be night and day. It really would. And I really hope that you guys can add these features later on, because in my opinion it's just needed features. So other than that, Remnant is a really good game. The buttons, for the most part, they're simple. You know, like Y attacks, B crouches, and that's toggle, you don't gotta hold it down. A is how you roll, dodge out of the way. X is reload. You got your pad, which does whatever item you have it set to. The right bumper is your weapon trait that you have equipped. Left bumper, I'll be honest, I didn't really use left bumper a lot, so I don't remember what it does. I want to say it's like a weapon wheel, but don't quote me on that. I didn't have to use left bumper hardly at all, so I don't remember exactly what it does. Or no, I'm sorry. Y is switching weapons normally. I changed my buttons since I didn't switch weapons a lot. Y is normally your switch weapons button, but I had that set to the right trigger, so my Y button is your melee attack. I take that back. I apologize. Other than that, the controls, they're good, but again, if they had some of these features, like even if Legacy Sticks was in the game where you didn't have to set it through the console, that could be big, because, you know, like for people that play on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox Elite Series 2, unless they buy a program that can let them use their Xbox control on the PS4, there will be no Legacy Sticks. And Legacy Sticks, for people with range of motion issues, is really, really huge, because it allows them to run and move the camera left to right basically at the same time, so they don't have to run, stop the character, look around, run, stop the character, look around. And in a game like this, you can't afford to have to stop. You really, really can't. And so I hope that these features are implemented in the future. I think they would really improve the quality of life. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below, and I will do my absolute best to answer them. But in the meantime, be excellent to each other.